So we have two different meetings tonight. The first meeting we have is a building corporation meeting. This is to do our lease bond for the projects that we have. And then when that meeting's over, then we'll go into our general board meeting that we have. So it's kind of broken up in two meetings tonight. So the first part here, there's no public comments. It's just we're gonna go through some things. One of the things we're waiting on right now is our bond counsel. She's running a few minutes behind. She notified me about an hour ago that she was running a little bit behind. She should be here in the next couple minutes. But before we do that, what I wanted to do is just talk real quick about what we plan to do with the bond money and how we're going to spend the bond money that we plan to receive. So what I have for the building corporation numbers, let me give you this. It's a scope and prioritization of the, and then I have extras here if anyone would like one, you want to welcome them. Just set over here if you'd like to. So if you look at what we have here, our scope that we're looking at, basically everything we're planning to do with this bond money is HVAC items in both our elementary and high school buildings. It won't be enough to do everything, but it will get us a great start and headed in the right direction of what we need to do. So if you look at the sheet has two sides that you can see. I'm gonna talk about the scope prioritization side. This is actually going to define what we plan to do with any bond money that we receive. So the first thing we have is just money available for how much we're going to have available for our contracts to spend with the various contractors and people that will be doing the work. So one thing we decided we needed to do is our elementary air handler. That elementary air handler is original to the building. I think the building was built in 78.
78, 79, yeah.
77, 78, so it's old. It's almost 50 years old. And starting to have some issues there. We had some humidity issues last year in that building, and so that's one of the things we're going to do is replace that air handler in the elementary building. We're also looking to replace there's another air handler there in the west part of the building. I believe it was an add-on to the building. So we're looking to replace that as well. So there's two air handlers in the elementary that we'd like to replace. Another item that needs some attention is the high school chiller. So we're looking to replace the high school chiller as well. And then in our fine arts area, that's the west wing of the high school area. There's an air handler down there that we would like to replace as well. And then there's another air handler in the media center, the library area, that we'd like to replace. And then we had to make a decision on what we wanted to do next. We talked about doing a 4-pipe system to better control the heat and air, especially when we get to that October time where you get a hot day and then a cool day that you can both heat and cool if you want to, or replace our unit ventilators, which is what we chose to do. We've had a lot of issues with unit ventilators in the high school classrooms, just breaking down and needing a lot of attention. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace those unit ventilators. And when we replace those, they'll be set up for a 4-pipe system, even though we'll be running two to them right now. But when we eventually get down the road, we want to go to a 4-pipe system, that we'll be able to handle that and take on those needs. So that's kind of what we're looking at with the scope of this project. We are actually using some of the bond money from our GEO bond that we passed last fall to help with some of this as well. So that's what we're looking at with this lease bond, and that's why we need this money, is to take care of some of these things that that just need some upgrades, and they're just outdated, and I think it'll be more efficient for our building and create a better environment for our students to learn too. So I don't know if the board wants to add anything, or anything you guys want to add in there, or.
Just one comment with it. It's not a same for same replacement of old system with new system. The exact same. There are going to be some upgrades associated, specifically in the controls of the systems to bring more efficiency to the building. So, cutting back on utilities and so forth as we as we get into a better improved performance of the units.
I would add that if you guys haven't been able to watch any of the last few meetings that we've had on this, it was a pretty extensive work session that we had where we really worked through them on the priorities of what we wanted to do. Because originally they were going to put the 4-pipe piping in first, and that piping was going to be just sitting there not being used. We chose to, instead of working it from the pipes first and then waiting to change out those unit ventilators in each classroom, we switched that around so that we could get the classrooms right with the new 4-pipe system like what Dr. Wilkins talked about, and then later we'll add the piping to get the full 4-pipe effect. So that we felt like that was a much better use of those dollars instead of spending almost $1 million in piping that was just going to sit there idle and not be used. So.
Anyone else have anything to add? No? No? Do you guys have any questions? I guess the corporation members, do you guys have any questions about anything, or?
I've got a question on the chiller of the high school. Is it gonna go back on top of the boiler room?
I don't recall where the location
I don't think we have a location set for it yet.
It's still in the design process.
Yeah, we're still in the design process right now, so.
Cause when I was on the board, that was one of the first things we voted on when I got on, putting that in. I argued with them about putting it up there because anytime you gotta work on it, if there's anything of any weight, you have to have a crane come in and lift it. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to put it on the ground, mm-hmm. and they didn't go for it. And then once they put it up there, then they found a crack in the north wall of the boiler room. And supposedly they measured that crack to make sure it didn't, with that system on the roof, didn't start expanding or, getting any worse. Yeah. And I have never heard any more about it. Mm-hmm. That's the reason I asked if it was going to go on the roof or on the ground.
I haven't heard anything about a crack in that area since I've been on, but yeah.
All they said they're designing like a new chiller plant is what they're calling it. They're still working. We won't have drawings till like this fall, I believe, of the engineers' ideas. And then we still got to approve those, so we could definitely make a note of it. And,
somewhere in some of the board meetings, there's notes about that crack in the wall.
Okay.
I think it's in the northwest corner, I believe, that they had a measurement of it and was supposed to keep an eye on it. With that chiller on the roof, after they got it up there, then they found that. So that was a big question of, what's the stability with that crack in the wall.
Be a good thing for them to look at, because odds are it's been caulked over and painted over multiple times since then. So
it could be hid.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I was just curious because, anytime you have to work on the roof with anything of any weight, you got to have a crane come in. And that's just that much more expense for the school. Or if it's on the ground, maybe, something smaller would work.
We experienced that last year with the elementary media center. We did some work there, and we had to bring a crane in, and because it's on top there too. So it's on the roof. Any other questions from anyone in the building corporation? No. Now we're on holding pattern until we get there. So.
Now do time for the background music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She should be here any second. So
she's walking.
She is.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Perfect.
5 more minutes would have been awkward.
We'll act like we're asleep.
Yeah, come on in. Get started.
Does everybody stare at her when she walks in?
been waiting a half hour. Where you been?
Everyone else surprised me.
You did. You definitely did.
But, hold on.
No pressure.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
How are you?
We went through and talked about the scope and the project and everything, so we're ready whenever you are. If you need to take a
For the
minute
building
to.
corporation
Yeah,
piece,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And our members are
Yeah,
all here.
they're all here. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like I was on a real interstate in here.
Yeah.
I apologize. Yep, absolutely. See here, there's a lot to be signed.
Yeah, be a way to get started, wouldn't it? Just walk in. Thanks. Go ahead. I know it's Jim,
So
Mike,
I'm gonna
Greg.
say it at the end, Jamie, whenever they came to sign.
Okay.
So it's just real
Okay.
informal.
Okay.
And where are our members?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. I know Jamie was going through project with you. One thing under Indiana law, so schools can issue bonds, as you know, as can the building corporation. And as part of this project, the building corporation will be helping the school board finance the project. So tonight, the board is already, I mean, I think we've been working on this for almost over a year now. I know at least the legal steps, we've been working on it longer to figure out what the school needs. But tonight, really, the meeting is just to approve the form of the lease, which the board has already approved to the school board. So you wouldn't be doing anything that they haven't been doing. And the other thing is just to approve the issuance of the bonds. Do you know which officer is president?
I'm president.
You're president. So I think what we'll do is we'll just have you call the meeting to order formally so we can document it in our minutes.
Here, you want to have my chair?
Yeah. I know.
Call on meeting order, and you need the minutes.
Yep, so I'll have you sign the minutes, but we just needed you to call it to order. Mr. President, the purpose of this meeting is to approve the form of the lease agreement. The agreement's already been approved by the school board, and the lease will run for a term of 20 years at max, which is the max we can do it under state law, and it will allow the school corporation to issue the bonds once in a couple weeks, I think we're going to issue the bonds. So there is one resolution that you all have to consider, which is a resolution approving the form of the lease. What this resolution does is it authorizes the building corporation secretary and president to sign the lease, which you will do this evening. And it also allows the treasurer of the school corporation to pay for any of your fees out of the bond proceeds. So we would just need you to call for a motion to vote on the resolution approving the form of the lease.
I'd like a motion to approve the resolution in the form of the release.
Then we need a motion. Okay, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. The next resolution that we have to consider is the resolution approving the form of the indenture and the issuance of the bonds. The lease works because you're a nonprofit building corporation and we want the money to be secured and separate. A trustee bank will hold all of the money. You don't have to worry about holding the money, paying for invoices. We don't want you to have to do that either. So this resolution approves the form of the trust indenture and the issuance of bonds. The trust indenture is that document where all the money will be held. And in order to make payments, you all are appointing both Jamie and Bonnie to submit invoices to the trustee bank, and the trustee bank then pays the contractors. Okay? Is there any questions about the indenture or the issuance of the bonds? Okay, so we would just, Mr. President, we would need to call for a vote on the resolution approving the trust indenture and the issuance of bonds.
And then I have a motion from the floor to approve the trust indenture and the bonds.
Motion in a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, so then that's all of our meeting unless anyone on the board has anything they would like to say.
Thank you guys for doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys coming in.
Yes.
I will, if it's okay, I have several documents. I need signatures by everybody and a lot of signatures by their president and secretary. And if we can close the meeting.
During the meeting, then
Yeah.
we'll take a recess in between.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and do that, Kristen? You can do that between meetings.
Oh, are you back?
Yeah, that's fine. We
What
have,
time
we
is
have
the school board?
6 o'clock.
At 6.
Yeah, so.
And again, I do apologize to everyone for the delay.
Let's take a little break here.
Yeah.
All right.
What's that?
Great. Okay. So I'm gonna have all 4 of you first sign the minutes, and then I will review all the other documents. Let me give extra paper.
make the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take it away.
We have just some things I want to point out on the agenda. I'm not sure there are modifications at all, but I moved, and on your packet, it looks like that. I want to make sure to note, we moved all of the stuff dealing with the lease bond and the building corporation to the top of new business, and that's where you see it there. You may have seen it differently before, but we moved that up in front. The other thing that I wanted to point out is we're going to approve item P was added, approving of payment to Tecton. We've already approved that. We've already approved the bond money. It's coming out of the bond money. We're just going to make it formal tonight, saying we're paying a portion of the roof installation. And then the other thing that I want to point out on the policies, we're going to read policies, except for one policy. They're listed. It's listed as reading, but we're not reading that. We're actually going to vote to cancel that policy because it's obsolete. That's D250. It's the teacher appreciation grant that doesn't exist anymore. The teacher appreciation grant doesn't exist. It's something that the state did, and they took that away. So because it's obsolete, we're going to vote to just get rid of that policy. So, and that's the only agenda modifications I have at this time. Now we'll move on to public comments.
Awards, right?
What's up?
We got awards.
Oh, shoot, yeah, I'm sorry. John, come on up. Mr. Tyndall, sorry. How did I miss that? Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so every year we award 2 awards for seniors, both male and female, in our athletics. Those are the Most Valuable Senior Award and the Outstanding Citizenship Award. We did not get that done before the end of the school year, so I thought that it would be a really good time during school, remember, to bring those in, or meeting to bring those in and award those at the meeting. We only have 2 of the 4 recipients here with us tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and start with them. When you get your award, just stay up here. We'll get a couple pictures. The first award is the 24-25 Outstanding Citizenship Award for female. The category is this award is given for the top athlete, that they must be a senior. So the criteria is they must be a senior. They must have multiple sports that they are participating in. We recognize the number of total varsity letters, scholastic achievement, participation in athletics as a senior, their attitude and community service, and then that award is determined by the athletic council, which consists of administration, coaches, and they vote on this award. So for our female Outstanding Citizenship Award for the 24-25 school year is Libby Winans. Sorry. Oh. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and announce the male recipient of that same award. For the 24-25 school year, the Outstanding Citizenship Award for male athlete went to Caden Barlow. He could not be with us this evening. Moving on to our Most Valuable Senior Athlete Award. This is awarded to our top athlete as a boy and a girl, based on athletic achievement and 4 years of high school. So this is a cumulative award over the course of their 4 years, and how they've made an impact on the specific sports that they participate in. This year's recipient for the 24-25 Most Valuable Senior Male is Benjamin Kaler. Stay up here, I'll get some more pictures. All right, and I got one more to give, okay, and that is the 24-25 Most Valuable Athlete Award for females, and that is for Tana Tatlock, and she cannot be here this evening, so good to give her a round of applause. Congratulations, you're already graduated, okay, so you don't get to see me in August, so congratulations and good luck in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good job, folks.
All right. Well, as always, this is the chance for everybody to get out of here before all the boring stuff. So if you want to stick around and hear other stuff about bonds, then you're more than welcome to stay. But okay. Go ahead and open the floor up for public comment. Do we have any public comments for this evening? Hearing none. Go ahead, Dr. Wilkins.
Okay, next we ask for approval of minutes, the previous meeting.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Got a motion? Second. All those in favor? 7-0.
Next we'll go to the approval of accounts payable vouchers.
Is there any questions about that?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? 7-0.
We were presented with a financial report and cafeteria account report. Do you have any questions on any of those?
That's for yourself.
Okay, so we go on to new business. This next portion, we're gonna do the hearing on the lease for the lease bonds. So we have some, portion we need to go through here. Yep.
That's why I read the
Yep.
one, right?
Mhm.
All right.
Yep. Mhm.
So the next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a lease hearing in connection with the proposed project. If you're interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed in at the sign-in sheet, which should include your name and address. There will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the lease rental to be paid under the lease and appropriation of the bond proceeds. At the hearing, we will ask each person to limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the lease rental and the appropriation of the funds under consideration. The notice for this hearing was published legally as legally required. Pursuant to IC Code 20-47-3, before a school corporation may enter into a lease with a nonprofit building corporation, the school corporation must conduct a hearing regarding the execution of the proposed lease agreement and whether the rental to be paid to the lessor building corporation under the proposed lease is a fair and reasonable rental for the proposed improvements. We will now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, please sign in at the sheet which is located at the front door. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you put your name and address and limit your comments to the proposed rent to be paid under the lease. Keep any comments under 3 minutes and avoid being repetitive if possible. Yeah, I don't need the sign-in sheet.
Yep.
We already have it up
Yep.
there.
Mhm.
All right. Anyone want to speak? For all that, now no one else wants to speak. All right. Thank you for all those who participated in the hearing. We'll now close the hearing and reopen it at the regular meeting. Dr. Williams, would you summarize the resolution authorizing execution of the lease?
I can, as required by Indiana Code 2047-3, after a lease hearing, the school board must approve the lease agreement and authorize the school board officers to execute such lease. This lease is the agreement whereby the school corporation will levy the required property tax to pay the lease payments throughout the life of the bond issue. The lease payments will be paid to the building corporation and used to pay the bondholders to repay the proposed bonds.
Could I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution authorizing execution of the lease?
Make a motion to accept the authorization of execution of the lease.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor? 7-0. And Dr. Wilkins, would you please summarize the resolution reapproving the building corporation?
Yep. The next resolution is the resolution reapproving the building corporation. This resolution reapproves the formation of the building corporation for federal tax purposes. corporation we talked about earlier tonight.
Could I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution reapproving the building corporation?
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution reapproving the formation of the building corporation.
I'll second.
All those in favor? 7-0. And Dr. Wilkins, could you summarize the resolution assigning bids/contracts?
I can. The next resolution is the resolution assigning bids and contracts to the building corporation. At the bond closing, the building corporation will own facilities where some of the renovation work will be completed. The building corporation will also be the issuer of the bonds. As a result, certain contracts may need to be with the building corporation because the building corporation will hold the money to pay the contractors. The school corporation receives the bids and/or contracts and awards the bids and/or contracts under state law, but then retains the right to assign those bids and/or contracts to the building corporation for payment at the discretion of the board.
Could I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution assigning bids and contracts?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution assigning contracts to building corporation.
Second. And a second. All right, all those in favor? 7-0. And flip over. Dr. Wilkins, could you please summarize the resolution authorizing the third supplement to master continuing disclosure undertaking and issuance of bonds?
Yep, this resolution satisfies the Securities and Exchange Commission requirement that a school corporation enter into a continuing disclosure undertaking agreement if it issues bonds to public investors. The agreement requires that the school corporation agree to timely provide certain financial information and provide notice of certain material events if and when they occur.
Could I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution authorizing the third supplement to master continuing disclosure undertaking and issuance of bonds?
Oh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor? So that ends the bond related resolutions.
All right. Thank you. Special thank you too to Kristen for coming tonight.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. We do. So thank you. All right, we'll go next to the recommendation for acceptance of donations and grants. I'm going to do these together. First, we have a donation from Mount Auburn Christian Church in the amount of $50 for the Spartan Food Pantry, and then we have a donation from Mount Gilead Baptist Church Deacons Fund in the amount of $300 for the Spartan Food Pantry.
I make a motion to approve the donation.
I'll second.
All those in favor? 7-0.
In your packet, you have the student athletic handbook. Tonight, we're going to recommend approval for the student athletic handbook, but I want to give you a time to ask questions or comments or whatnot before. And we do have Tyler Phillips, our new athletic director, here tonight as well to help answer some of those questions as well.
Was there any,
Don't yell at me.
I'm gonna yell.
was there
So
any
much.
changes made?
Yes.
There was, okay,
There
'cause I didn't see anything highlighted, I didn't know.
Last year?
Yeah. Was there highlighted?
So can you summarize what changes you made in the
Hear it.
athletic handbook?
The biggest one is we took out the appeal process. Just to be honest, I felt like that was taking power away from our administrators. Just they make a decision, let them stand by their decision. Trust our administrators to do their jobs. Really, that's the biggest one that I can think of off the top of my head. Everything else is pretty much the same thing, just worded maybe a little bit differently. There's some attendance stuff in there. I did put in there talking about this different violations. There's a tobacco policy. It's just more black and white, takes some of the guesswork out of it. It's in there for their entire Southwestern career, 9 through 12. First, second, third offense, so they know at the time, if you do the crime, this is your time.
And then the coaching handbook, that was all you?
Yep,
That's brand new.
as far as I know, yeah.
Is that pretty common among schools?
In there, it talked about cuts to teams. Is that like for 5th through varsity?
Depending on numbers, I think that's just it's a case by case basis, and it's a conversation that the head coach, myself, and that coach need to have. If we have 40 coming out for 5th grade basketball, probably gonna have to cut some.
Would there be, and maybe too much in the weeds, but instead of cuts, is there like A/B options with getting like B team games besides, as opposed to cuts, if that would be an option?
Definitely a conversation we can have. I hope that comes up. That'd be a great problem to have. Yeah, that's definitely a conversation we can have should it present itself. Where I'm coming from, the cuts, if we've got 20, then let's look at doing an A and a B. At 5th, 6th grade level, let's do an A and B. If we've got 40, A and B, we'll still do an A and B, but you still can't. Yeah. You can't service 40 kids. Sure. So it's a case by case basis. The point I'm trying to make when I put cuts in there is, if you're keeping the kids simply because you don't have the conversation of cutting, that's selfish on the coach's part. The kid had the guts to come out and try out for the team, so have the guts to do what's right by that kid. Don't keep them and not give them the opportunity to play for 4 months just because you don't want to have that conversation. Sure. That's where that page comes from in the coaching handbook.
And then on pages starting on page 5 and then into 6, 7, is that directly from IHSAA?
Of the student athlete handbook?
Yes.
Yes, that's straight from the IHSAA.
Is it all the way down to where it talks about camps? Is that where it stops being IHSAA?
No, clinics, and then during school year, out of season, through moratorium. So down through page 10, where it starts to get to Southwestern junior, senior high school athletic guidelines, that's when it stops being IHSAA and starts being corporation.
Okay.
I just want to add, I appreciate you hitting the ground running, and I mean, you've been employed here for 2 weeks and you're presenting stuff, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Glad to do it. You guys didn't hire me to sit there and look pretty.
We got John for that.
I got one more. Sorry. So, in there, I saw somewhere it said was it you post on Twitter and Facebook for communication, or what was that in there?
For coaches or the student athlete?
Or either.
Talking about what I will post?
Yes.
I will post everything I can. Tonight's awards I got posted on Twitter and Facebook, so if you guys were talking to me at that point, I missed it, but I was posting it. I'll post everything I can on Twitter. We'll post results on Twitter, Facebook. Any game cancellations, we'll post that. We'll send out staff emails. Every platform that we create in the athletic department, any news athletic department related will go out on those platforms. Okay. Case in point.
Any other questions, comments on that? Well, we're going to be doing the athletic parent handbook first, so look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a second. All those in favor? 7-0.
Next, we recommend approval of the high school, the junior senior high coaching handbook that you have. We had a discussion about that. Is there anything else?
Anything else to add on that one?
Make a motion to approve.
Got one?
I'll second.
Got a second? All those in favor? 7-0.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Letter I, we were going to recommend approval of the I Decide for Me curriculum for the high school. Actually, it's 8th grade for the human sexuality course. This is taught over the course of 5 weeks, 1 period per week, 1 day per week over the 5 weeks. It goes along with what we discussed last week with the Girls Inc. program, just another program that's available out there. In the future, we plan to have these approved at the same meeting versus having it at 2 different meetings. So we just missed it. So.
And is this something that parents, if they have more questions, concerns, things like that?
Yeah, questions, concerns. There's a nice website that's available. They have an opt-out or opt-in, opt-out form too that parents have to agree to as well. So, okay. Yeah, nothing's done without parent approval. So, okay. Yep.
Look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got one.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor? 7-0.
Next one is just something we do every year. This is the bonding for several staff members that we have here. The HR specialist, renew the bonding for the HR specialist, business manager, administrative assistant, and ECA treasurer bonds along with the position bonds that we have. This just allows them to carry cash.
I'll make a motion to approve.
You have a motion, second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? 7-0.
Next one, as you know, sometimes between this board meeting and the August board meeting, things come up where we maybe have staff members that leave, and we have to hire new staff members. This just give me the authority to hire staff as needed with candidates to be presented at the August board meeting, which actually starts after that first day of school.
Any questions, comments on that?
I know we've gone through this in the past, but this is not out of ordinary. Many times we'll have somebody start pending board approval.
Yeah.
And we pick it up in the rears.
Yep.
Anyway, so we're not.
It's
I'm wondering
not
the purpose
necessarily,
of this.
the purpose of this one, I believe, is the volume at which this could change. It's gonna be a quick change, that it could have 2, 3, or 4 staff member changes and we're basically giving him free rein to make sure that he can get all the stuff done before the first day of school.
But we're still pending board approval that will be due in
It'll
August.
have to be board approved, but I'll be able to, the person will actually be able to start and work with students.
Okay.
It's like, say we have a teacher opening and we have to fill that teacher opening. We'll actually have someone in there working with the students, and it just helps with consistency.
Okay.
The person that starts first day, and they don't have to wait till
How
first
many,
board meeting.
I'm not gonna argue it, but how many spots have we got
Open
open?
and ask that too. So, yeah.
I mean, we have open, we just have the counseling position open right now that I know.
Okay.
Essentially, this is because other schools sometimes like to purge your teachers last minute. Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. And some school districts do it, what they do is they hold another board meeting before that first day of school. We do this in lieu of that. Instead of having another board meeting, we do it this way. And frankly, even then, you still could run into that, right? Where someone's they're starting the first day, but they haven't been board approved because of when they started, when they were hired. So, yeah.
Look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor? 7-0.
The next item here is the board policy manual, reviewed and revised to conform with the official board resolutions as recorded in the official minutes book. This is just showing that you're aware that the policies exist, they're out there, we know where the policies are, and we can read those and look at those at any time.
Okay. That needs approval.
There's nothing to approve there.
I think it needs approval. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I make a motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
I'm not sure what approve.
Approve that we have a board policy manual.
We approve that
Approve that we have the policies.
We approve that
Do
we
we
know
have
that we
manual?
can ask for policies. Yes.
Okay. Not sure that needed approval, but all right.
I thought so. We all did.
Next, we have a recommendation to approve the Fellowship Christian Athletes field trip on the 21st of this month to Camp Ileana in Washington, Indiana. They leave Monday and they come back the Wednesday of that week. So it's an overnight trip, and we'll actually be having students from Shelbyville Central go with us as well. They're going to use our transportation for that trip, so help us with the cost.
Very good. Any questions, discussions about that?
Make a motion to approve the FCA field trip.
Second.
All those in favor? 7-0.
Next, we have the recommendation to approve the Power School enrollment registration in the amount of $13,647.70. This is just what we use to enroll and register students every year through Power School.
I thought we'd just done that at some point. Maybe not. I thought there was a Power School cost of some. Maybe all the years are just blurring together.
Well, this is the Power School enrollment.
This is
I
Power
think.
School. This isn't Power School proper. It's Power School enrollment. So it's what's actively right now. accepting registration and enrollment forms for kids, and then they're being put basically in the ready to approve pile, and then it puts them all back into Power School after everyone's approved. But it's the enrollment piece, it's not Power School proper.
Okay.
By Power School proper, he means the grade book?
Yeah, the actual,
the student.
The student information system. This is just enrollment. This is not the student information system.
So this is a service?
No, so Power School is a company, and Power School offers the student information system, and they also offer enrollment. We subscribe to both at the current moment in time.
Got it. Okay.
you have to have the enrollment in order to bring students over easily into Power School.
Just like an add-on.
It is.
Yep.
It's an add-on that you pretty much have to have.
Yeah.
This is for 1
Well,
year.
I
and it's every year?
think it's saving you some manual entry, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Okay.
Apply starting me.
I'll make a motion to approve Power School enrollment.
I'll second.
All those in favor? 7-0.
Next, we have the first reading of policies. These were just policy revisions given to us by our legal team, CCH&A. It's following the legislation changes that we've seen over these past few months. Again, I am going to take D250 out, and we'll talk about that in just a second here. But let me read through these real quick. We have A100, the non-discrimination and anti-harassment policy. B100, the board authority and philosophy. B150 is the board organization. B200 is membership. C125, legal settlement in open districts. C175, student attendance, academic engagement, and truancy prevention policy. C200 is the anti-bullying. C225 is the parental access to instructional materials and surveys. We have D200 is the standard of care and supervision of students. D325 is the personal background checks and mandatory reporting. E200 is the religious release time and credit for religious education. F125 is purchasing procedures and capital assets. G350 is the audio, video, and digital recording on school property and of school meetings. G360 is the data breach and protection. And then H100 is school visitors and parent-family engagement. So this is just the first reading of those. You guys have any questions?
The only thing is, just in the past, when we've done first readings, we then put that online so that everybody can see what it is. Can we do that? Perfect.
Tomorrow or Friday. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Now, I do have a request, recommend that we remove D250, that's the teacher appreciation grant, because it's obsolete.
They're not doing any of those this year.
They're not going to be called the teacher appreciation grant, it's going to be called something else, and it's going to look something totally different than what we've had before, so that we won't need this policy. This policy is obsolete.
Are we anticipating a new policy to come in play then when that?
We haven't received any
Finalized.
information yet from the State of Education, Indiana State Board of Education, so we really don't know what that's going to look like. Essentially what it's going to be is before any teacher that was effective or highly effective received money, that we received the money from the state and we divvied it up between all of them. This is changing next year, and from what I understand, it's going to be no more than 20% of your faculty is going to be eligible for that. And it's going to be broken down into 3 different categories. One where they could receive $7,000. I think the next one's $5,000, and then $3,500. It's based on mentoring. It's based on just basically going above and beyond. But there's no criteria right now on how we decide who gets what. And corporations can decide to take part in this, or they can decide not to take part in this. And frankly, I plan to take part in this, but I can't make educated statement on it right now, because we haven't received any information, so, yeah.
Well, thank you for wanting to take part.
Yeah.
So you need us to vote on removing that?
Yeah, I need a motion for
Yep.
removal.
Look for a motion to remove the
I'll make a
D250.
motion to remove.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Got a second? All those in favor?
Okay.
7.
Next, we have approval of payment to Tecton, and it's actually Tecton and Big Ben, our roofers, in the amount of $101,710.45 for the roof installation. It's just a portion of that roof installation.
Is this final payment since they're done, or will there be one more payment?
I think there's one more payment. There's
They're
going to be
not
one more
done?
payment. They're not done.
Oh, I thought they were close.
Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Do we,
I thought they were getting close.
You're going to ask the date?
yep, because it's been quiet up there.
It has. They've been waiting on some materials to come in, from what I understand. So I reached out to Dustin from Tecton today, and he said the 25th is what they're looking at
Of
as the
July.
completion date. Yeah.
Of 2025. Just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's pending weather and everything else. So, yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's why I thought it was supposed to be done already. I know they're waiting.
It was.
How much have we got left in the billing?
How much is left in the billing? I believe it's right around $30,000, but I'm not sure. I can't give you the exact amount right now, but I think it's right around $30,000.
So we've got only 30,000 left in completion?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of that is, remember we added on for the gutters.
Yep.
Yeah. So some of it's that. So, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment to Tecton.
Do I have a second? Got a second? All those in favor? 7. You got any others?
I don't. That's it. So I don't have any reports or presentations tonight either. So we're going to personnel. We have 2 recommendations to hire here. I'll do these individually. We have, first of all, the recommendation to hire Connor Jewell as the varsity assistant soccer coach for this next up and coming season here.
For a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Okay, one motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay. 7.
And next of all, we have recommendation to hire Mary Dehart as essential skills teacher at the high school to junior senior high next year.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor? 7.
Dr. Wilson.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that
Sure.
okay right now?
Yes. Please do.
So last month, you guys approved Carmen Claiborne as our science teacher at the high school. So they're here tonight, so I want to introduce her. If you would stand, please. If you want to, just give us a little bit of background on you.
Okay, put me on the spot. I've been teaching for 18 years. I taught most previously at Decatur Central High School, so I'm really glad to come to a smaller community, and this is where my son goes, so I'm excited to be here. So thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
18 years experience. Good.
Next on to my comments, I have a few here that I want to just discuss real quick. First of all, something that's concerning me and a lot of the school districts across the state, across the nation actually, is the Title II and Title IV grants. In the past, we've gotten word on how much we're going to get approved for those grants, what those are going to look like, and starting to think about the application process, and we've received nothing so far. And this is it's not the state of Indiana, it's the federal government holding on to that, some of that money. And so we're kind of up in the air right now. Remember, Title II goes to professional development. We use a large portion of that for professional development. Title IV can be used in a lot of variety of different ways. And frankly, I was going to plan to use some of that on professional development this year too. So just want to have it in your minds that's kind of dangling out there. Title III is another portion of that too. We don't receive any Title III money because of our EL population isn't large enough to receive any money, but just it's a concern that I have right now. And like I said, we're not alone. It's nationwide, but it's concerning on what's going to happen with that.
What kind of negative impacts would you anticipate with those coming in less than desired?
Well, I mean, it's gonna give us, before what we would do is we would spend the money and it would be reimbursed. Like if we're gonna spend money on professional development, we would then be reimbursed for that. It's possible we won't receive a reimbursement. It's just gonna hit us financially. Where before we would receive money, now we won't. We may not. No one knows what's gonna happen. So we may
professional development as an example.
Yeah.
Would come out of the education fund.
Yeah.
Roughly what kind of impact how much Title II and Title IV money was used last year?
Title II, I think we had 20.
Right around
20,000. Title IV was around 10.
It's always, yeah.
10,000.
So it's about
$30,000. Yeah.
It's not $100,000 or.
No, it's not that, but it's concerning.
It's something, but yeah, it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's one. Another thing I was going to bring up, the roof completion. We already talked about that. Registration. Reminder: we have the on-site registration on the 23rd and 24th. The 23rd is from 8 to 3, and the 24th is from 11 to 7. A lot of people have already registered because we put that out there, but we're still working through getting people registered. So we're going to make a hard push for that this next week or two here. So, but they can come in. Parents can come in and do the registration here on site to get some help if they need it too. So. But we're going to be available those days. Reminder, staff day is coming up fast. That's August 4th. First student day is August 6th. Remember, this year we have staff day, we have a non-working day, and then we have our first student day, and that's so teachers, if they would like to, that are here late that staff day, because we have back to school night, they can come in and set up some things in the room the next day. Gives them a little buffer. Frankly, gives us a buffer to it, central office, to take care of if we have any transportation issues or any other issues, we can handle those, have a day to do that in between, so, which will be nice. Parent Square will be rolled out here probably in the first week of school is what I hope to do, and that's getting parents enrolled in Parent Square, getting students enrolled. That is going to be our main communication device that we're going to use. All the other platforms that we've used in the past, we will not be using anymore. We will be using Parent Square, and that will be it. Obviously, teachers and parents will have the ability to email back and forth, but any communication outside of that should be through Parent Square. Should be done through Parent Square.
Does this go for preschool as well? Preschool.
Yeah.
I saw that goes for coaches as well.
Yeah. And we'll have a little bit of time because right now I know some of just talking about coaches, some of them have, athletes have the cell phone numbers of the coaches, and we'll be spending time making sure we're redirecting people. We're not using cell phone numbers to communicate back and forth. We have a platform, Parent Square, we're going to be using that for any back and forth communication. And I think it'll be a nice, it'll be nice for our parents to have one platform, one app that they have to have versus, all these Class Dojo and Remind and Band and all these other things that are out there.
That will be.
Yeah.
I know. Standing ovation on that one.
So there'll be growing pains. So I hope everyone just, realizes that it is new. So with having something new that takes time working out through the kinks and stuff. But I'm excited about using Parent Square though, and having that having that to use this next year. So just wanted to point out too that we have our new curriculum. So the staff was engaged in some training in the month of June. Actually, elementary did some training on theirs in before we were even out of school on the new curriculum and using the new curriculum. I'm excited about what that looks like and where we're headed with that. The last thing I want to mention is the golf outing. Don and Tyler organized for us. So. But thank you both. We appreciate that. Appreciate your hard work and looking forward to it. So.
Does that mean you're playing?
I mean, I may chase a ball around. I'm not sure if I play.
I was just rewatching that video when you got on the donkey. This will be so much easier.
I
Much
don't
easier.
think I'll get injured playing golf. Not unless.
I'm
wearing a helmet.
I do have a question about the staff day.
Yeah.
Will we be serving breakfast that day or?
Yeah, and I was gonna send something out later on
Okay,
asking for volunteers and serving breakfast. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the curriculum, everything showed up and good.
I don't know. We received all the high school curriculum. I know
It's
the elementary.
still trickling in, but the main part of it, like we could start today if we needed to.
Okay.
When are you expecting the last of it to show up?
Well, like two boxes show up like once a week, so I would say that we're within the last percentage point of everything being here. Yeah.
Good. All right. Board member comments?
Nothing.
Yeah. No problem. Nope.
Thanks
Go ahead,
everybody for coming.
And welcome to the team.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight and welcome.